Well, good morning. The nature of today's demonstration is to address an issue that's come up in conversation with architects and builders and the like, and that is that we're looking at a means of installing this lightweight decorative stone panel. The panel, if you can see the weight here, is 7.15 pounds, 3¼ kilograms. It's 20 inches wide by 8½ inches high, which is 1.2 square feet. The panel is made with a built-in stainless steel nailing flange. Okay? The flange itself looks like this. So the advantage the flange has with its fingered configuration is that it's buried very deeply into the stone, both back and front, obviously. And so the risk of it being pulled out of the stone, again with the irregular edges, etc., is absolutely minimal. The concern they had is that when we're installing this material, generally over a plywood or OSB sheathing, you've got a building paper, a Tyvek, etc., over the face, and so it's impossible to tell where the studs are. So what we're going to demonstrate today, using some weight and a live demonstration with weight, is that you can take a very short screw. I don't know whether you can see that one or not. This is just a 1-inch screw, okay? Conventional head Phillips. And we're going to take our panel, and while we've got multiple opportunities for screws, we're simply going to nail it with just two of these small short screws. And then we're going to hang a load on it that's going to be something like 10 times the weight of the stone itself, to demonstrate that the nailing flange, 2 short screws in 3/8 inch OSB is more than adequate to carry that stone for an indefinite period of time. So what we've done here is we have a couple of buckets, 20-liter buckets, and what we're going to do is we're going to hang the buckets essentially on the stone and on the panel. We're going to take a 4-liter bucket, which is 4 liters, which is 10 pounds of water, and gradually fill each side of these until either we meet 10 times the load of the weight of the stone itself, or until we fill the 2 buckets. So we're going to start here now with each of these buckets being loaded 10 pounds at a time. I'm going to do it evenly so that there's 20 pounds. That's 30. That's 40. That's 50. USB. I believe our rope is going to hold. And this then is 70 pounds. We'll put half in each bucket. So there you have two 1-inch screws fastened into 3/8-inch OSB with no studs behind either of them, and in a nailing flange that again has the opportunity for multiple screws, but in this case, two 1-inch screws is carrying 70 pounds, which is 10 times the weight of the stone itself. So clearly, we have no concern about the need to absolutely find or anchor the lightweight stone in the vertical studs that would obviously be running behind a conventional stick-built wall. So that's the end of this portion of the demo. And again, this is in the previous demonstration we talked about the installation of the stone in this dry mount system, which is these 1.2 square foot panels. We've got two different colors, identical styles here. And again, what you can see now is we've got the building paper, Tyvek in this case. There are any number of alternatives to Tyvek, some more cost effective than others, I suppose. But so what we've done now is we've shown that the Tyvek is the rain screen, and the moisture vapor barrier, air barrier, etc., all in a single membrane. So what we've done now is we've just simply installed the stones using the nailing flange, and so you start from the bottom, install the first stone, and then put a bead of industrial adhesive on this flange, under here as the case may be. Put the next one on, and then as you press them into place, the screws hold the stone to the substrate, and then the industrial adhesive holds the lowest edge of this one to the upper edge of the lower one, which in fact is where the screws are installed. If you're doing an interior installation, the option is to go directly onto whatever your substrate is. Could be OSB, could be drywall, it could be cement board, depending on where you're located, whether you're in an environment where combustible or non-combustible construction is required. But in this case, what we've done is we've taken the stone clusters again, used the PL1000 and industrial adhesive, put a bead of the adhesive on the back face, upper and lower, pressed it into place, and simply left it there. And there it is, ready to go. There's an absolute minimum amount of work involved because the stones fit so nicely together. There's no need for caulking or grouting, as may be the case with other methods of installation. The third application is with, again, building paper. Now in this case what we've done is we've stapled an open, expanded lath. This is a galvanized, I believe, with heavy-duty staples. We've used the same industrial adhesive, and we've glued the stones straight onto the lath, because obviously the Tyvek itself won't carry any weight. It's obviously there for the purposes of the vapor permeability and air barrier properties. So we've glued them into place, and then we've taken exterior grade caulking that's the color match to the stones themselves, and caulk the edges so that we don't get any water running in behind the stones. But an interesting adjunct to this is that in the event that you did get any water running in behind the stones, It won't have a significant impact on the building paper. The building paper obviously is waterproof, and there would be an opportunity for that small amount of water, if there were any, simply to drain its way down and find its way out at the bottom. Last then is to look at something a little more traditional again. This is looking at how a conventional manufactured stone might be installed, and you'll see the very substantial difference in the amount of labor associated with this, because we have our building paper, we have a heavy duty stucco wire here, which again is stapled into place. Then we have what's known as a scratch coat going on. So you've got step number one, which is common to both systems, a wire which is common or not necessary depending on the situation. Anywhere where you have the Tyvek and no nailing flange, you'd obviously need the wire. But in this case, now you've got a scratch coat. You have to do that installation, go home for a day, come back the next day because you can't, once the scratch coat is set up, and now you're going to individually install all of these stones that are rather random in shape and size. And then, if you take a close look, you've now got a substantial amount of grouting to be done. And quite frankly, installation of the grouting can be as much or more work than the installation of the stones themselves. So if we take a look at the stones, and perhaps bring the camera now down here and focus on the floor, what I've done is I've taken what's supposed to be about 8 square feet of stone out of a box and laid it out on the floor as best I can in order to show how much work is associated with trying to figure out how best to make these odd pieces fit together. But second of all, you need to notice how much white space there is, because it's the white space that causes the problem, because that's where the grouting is required. So the last thing to look at here is that one of these stones is this manufactured stone, probably made with pumice and cement and some fiber. And the other stone is the FeatherStone, made with a much lighter weight material. These two stones are roughly the same size. This one might be 5% larger, but if you look closely, you're going to see that this stone is 5.2 pounds compared to this stone, which is 2.7 pounds. So if you look at the amount of work associated with installation, transportation, and simply the ability to mud the back and have it stay in place, you've got a much better opportunity for a nice even install and less chances of it drifting down the wall if your stone is half the weight of the next competitive stone. Okay, so everyone will acknowledge, of course, that there are any number of other people out there, probably 3 or 4 at least, major producers manufacturing artificial stone. The stones themselves are made with cement and in some cases with perlite, some cases with pumice, depending on the availability of supplies and the desired final finish or final weight. What we have down here is about just over a box of a competitive product, and what you can see is these are random shapes. They're supposed to be somewhat rectangular, but if you take a look, you're going to see I've laid it out on the white board for a reason, because as was the case with the exhibit that we saw earlier, you've got a huge amount of white space. So planning this project and planning this installation is going to be time consuming, because you've got to take every stone out of the box, lay it out to get your optimum coverage and minimal amount of grouting. But even having done that, you can see we've got a massive amount of white space, and obviously all that white space is going to have to be filled in with some kind of grout, unless you obviously want to see the scratch coat behind it. So another observation is this. We have two stones here. One of them is the FeatherStone, and then the other one is the competitive stone. Both of them are roughly the same size. FeatherStone might be 5% larger. But what's really worth noting is this. The competitive stone is 5.2 pounds for a part that might be 3/4 of a square foot, 8 by 4. The FeatherStone is only 2.73 pounds. 1.24 kilograms here, 2.36 kilograms here. So when it comes to both transportation, ease of handling, and the ability to simply get it up on the wall, use a polymer modified mortar as your adhesive, the chances of a lighter stone staying in place without slipping, without losing alignment, is going to be substantially better than a much heavier stone. The other thing we've done here, this was for the benefit of the architect, is we've added a little bit of extra color to this stone, again because this was in line with the interior decor of the restaurant we were building. Most of these other stones will have some changes in hue and color. We have the ability to go to, well, virtually any color you choose if you want to match the siding or the acrylic stucco or whatever else is already in place. Again, the most significant observation from this panel, this exhibit, is just simply the amount of work associated with trying to figure out how best to do an install compared to, if you like, something as simple and elegant as this. So this is the end of the second half of the demonstration. Again, my name is Mike Mabey. The company name is FeatherStone. The product's available for view online at featherstonerock.com. And if you need to get in touch with me, I'm available at 780-231-4793. Thanks for your attention. That's the end of our demonstration.